Hey guys, Lucas here. Tonight we're going to do some street photography in Shibuya, and I'm going to use a flash to mix things up a little bit. Now I do use flash quite a bit on Halloween in Shibuya because then it gets really crazy and crowded and it's very fun. I don't typically do it on regular nights like this, so we'll see how it goes, see how many weird looks we get, but I think it'll be fine because people do all kinds of crazy antics here in Shibuya Crossing. Of course, if you like the channel and like the video, please be sure at some point to like and subscribe. Also, if you have any questions about what we're going to do tonight, please leave them in the comments below and I will gladly go through and answer them as best as I can. Okay, so let's see what we can do. All right, so first things first, we have to talk about settings. Now, I actually happen to have a flash that doesn't do TTL auto, means through the lens auto, meaning that basically it's automatic mode for the flash. This flash is fully manual, so I have to get all my settings just right. But that's okay for what I want to do tonight because I want to do what's commonly referred to as slow sync. Now on the RICOH and other cameras, you will have a slow sync function or setting. And what that basically means is instead of trying to freeze the action, the camera will use a relatively slow shutter speed, usually something like a 30th or a 60th. I think a 30th is typical for slow sync, which will get more of the ambient light from the environment, and then it'll only fire the flash for a part of the exposure, usually right in the beginning, which is something called front curtain sync. So essentially, let's say I'm doing a 30th, the shutter opens, and it stays open for a 30th of a second. But right in the beginning, when it opens, the flash will fire, the shutter will stay open for the whole 30th, and then it will close. To contrast that with something we're not going to do tonight, but just so you know about it, something called rear curtain sync is the opposite. The shutter opens, stays open for a 30th of a second, and just before it closes, the flash will fire. It's just that the difference is that it affects where the motion blur happens, because there will be some motion blur for anything that's moving. If you're using slow sync with front curtain, which is what I'm going to be doing, you get a sharp subject and then a trail in the direction they're moving. The other way around, you get a trail and then a sharp subject at the end. So that can be useful for certain things, but for tonight, we're going to do regular slow sync with front curtain sync. And so it has to be slow, which means I'm going to be using a shutter speed of about a 30th. That means that as we're shooting the motion and the people in the crossing walking along and that kind of stuff, things will be blurry. But the subject should be nicely, tack sharp because the flash will freeze the action. Because the flash fires, in a 10,000th of a second or something like that, much, much faster than the shutter speed. Only the background stuff that the flash doesn't hit, the city lights and all that, will be blurry. To get the rest of the exposure, I'm on f2.8, and I'm keeping the ISO on just 100. Should be enough, with a 30th and f2.8 to gather all the ambient light. Okay. One last thing, I'm going to be using snap focus set to about, let's see here, 1.5 or 2.5 meters, something like that. Because I want to get pretty close, because the flash obviously doesn't reach very far. If I focus on stuff 5-6 meters away, this flash is not powerful enough to really illuminate those things. I mean, it might, but I kind of want to get close to get those kind of shots. Okay, so that's everything about settings. I will be adjusting the settings slightly as I go, if I see the exposure needs adjusting for different situations, but roughly a 30th f2.8 100 ISO. Okay, let's get shooting. So yeah, I mean, one thing that I find this technique works for is any kind of motion. When there's motion, it's more interesting because then there'll be, the subject will be sharp, I shouldn't just say subject, but anything that's pretty close to the camera, to the flash, will be well lit, therefore sharp, and anything that's farther away and in motion will be a little bit blurry. And people like running across the crossing or bicycles or even cars might be interesting. And I was too fast. So yeah, motorbike. And also a little bit too far. I'm set for 1.5 meters for my snap focus. I'm expecting pretty close subject. Okay, the last shot I got was pretty cool. There's a couple running across the crossing. I'm gonna try again. Okay. I have the flash up a little bit and using the bounce card to make the light a little bit softer. I could do it more direct, be more intense. And I also have to be mindful that this flash is a little bit slow to recharge between shots. So I can't like machine gun it and just shoot like crazy. I gotta be a little bit selective. Okay. Like that. I'm also finding things are getting a little overexposed up close. So I'm gonna change my aperture to f4 because at 1.45 meters, it's a little bit too bright. Okay. No, not that interesting. Not bad, actually. That's pretty cool. But a little bit, I realized the wrong zone, the wrong snap focus distance because the bike was a little farther than 1.5 meters. So I'm going to go longer here. I'm going to go to 5 meters. See if the flash can keep up. I might do a more direct flash. Here's the bicycle. So this will work nicely in conjunction with a panning shot like this. I don't have to focus or anything. Okay. Fantastic. Tack sharp. The background's super blurry. The exposure's a little weird. Like the ground is a little too bright because the flash illuminated the ground in front of me but not far away. That's kind of why I was doing it this way in the first place. To keep the flash off the ground. I don't want a bright ground. It's not that interesting. You know, as we know with street photography, it's a numbers game. I mean, I don't think I got any home runs just now. I just got a couple fun shots that were fun to shoot, you know. They came out good, but they're not amazing or anything. So, you know, just got to try my luck and see what we get. Also, I will say the camera is way heavier than usual with this huge flash. The flash is heavier than the camera. So it's got a weird balance. So that's a little awkward, but you know, it's okay. So I have a feeling that I should hold it like this when I'm not shooting, and only when the moment of shooting I take my hand off. Okay, so here's the other smaller crossing next to the big main one back there. Let's see what we can do here. The light's different. I might have to change exposure a little bit, but should be okay. I'm gonna go across. Oh, here we go. Cool. Not bad. In a way, like although this is I'm not trying to say this is an easy way to do photography. It's very challenging, but in some ways it's easier. There's a couple things you don't have to worry about. Like with snap focus, I don't have to worry about focusing. And with the flash, I don't have to worry so much about, you know, motion and things like this because the flash is so fast that it'll freeze the motion no matter what. And then also because my ISO is so low, you know, these photos are not noisy or anything. They look great, so it's going to be easy to edit them. I don't have to worry about like low light performance of the camera. So obviously this technique works great with digital cameras that don't have good low light performance. So like the older GRs, but the new GR is great at low light, so it's not really an issue. And also of course for film, because you know 3200 or 6400 ISO film. I mean, I don't know if that's not a thing, but I don't think it's such a common thing. Usually, you know, 400, 800 ISO is what you get when it comes to film. Okay. That was cool. So that one was pretty cool. Oh, the guy on the phone, he's a little bit close for my zone. A little out of focus, but that was pretty cool. Smoking people here. Yeah, it's really hard to find subjects that are good because it's not always. Ooh, that one's nice. That's a nice one. Yeah, I'm happy with that one. That's a pretty cool one. All right, let's see what else we can do. Back at the main crossing. People running are good. And people in a hurry. And of course, people with some sort of interesting characteristic, you know, something they're doing. You know, these days everyone's just on their phones even while they're crossing the street. But you know, that's the beauty of street photography. If you're patient and you try and you try and you try, eventually you can get a cool shot. There we go. This girl's running. It's okay. I wish I was more in front of them. This gentleman here, maybe, he's got a cool mustache. Here. Not bad, not bad. It's something. Car. It's pretty cool. Here we go. This guy running is good. Nice. Ooh, that was good. That was a good one. All right, guys. So I think we've got enough for today. I mean, I did a bunch of laps around the thing, of the crossing. I tried a few times. I'm liking this technique. Honestly, I think it's pretty cool. Like I said, I've done it in a specific time, but I don't usually do it in my regular wanderings around the city. Partially because I think, yeah, Flash is kind of conspicuous. But as you can see in these chaotic streets, nobody cared. People just ignored it. It's not as bright as you think it is. It looks bright to you because it's right in front of you, but somebody farther away, they barely notice it. So yeah, I hope you learned a little bit about the technique. To recap one more time, I ended up using 1/30th f4 and 100 ISO the whole time, which means I had the slow shutter speed, which means I had motion blur, but the flash was freezing the action because the flash, by its very nature, shoots at like a very high, frame rate, like a 10,000th of a second, very short. All right, so that's about it. If you like the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel as well, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below, and I will take a look, and I hope to answer your questions as best as I can. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.